Well, it's that time again, guys and gals. Me and Dylan, we've got a good show in store for you here today. Lots of exciting stuff, lots of really groundbreaking, world-changing stuff. I mean, that's our first topic. We're kicking it off with concept cars that would have changed history, changed the world, or maybe, a small segment of the performance car market. So Dylan's got one, I've got one. You guys can decide whose is better, whose is more important, or would have been more important. And the caveat is concept cars that, if they were brought to production, would have changed the market.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right. Dylan, you think you've got the flush, right?
I think
you've been bragging about it. So I'll go first. Okay. So we can, and then you can. We'll see, because I don't want to have to follow it up, because if it is that good, no one's going to be listening.
Maybe I'm just overhyping it, but let's hear yours.
So here's a concept that I was really excited about in my childhood.
Okay.
This was big. I was following it, every single car issue that came to the house. As soon as we got it, I'd flip through to see if there's any news on this model here.
Okay.
This would be the Volkswagen GX3.
Oh,
are you familiar?
I am not.
All right,
send me a link if you've got it.
3 is the most important part here.
Okay.
3 denotes 3 wheels. The Volkswagen GX3 was kind of I'm not going to call it a slingshot, because it's not. It is, but it's not. It's more of a Vanderhaal,
You're not going to call it a slingshot because you have respect for yourself. Understood.
Exactly. And for this vehicle, I wouldn't debase it like that. And we'll go into that. But it's 2 wheels in the front, 1 wheel in the back, one big old wheel in the back, chain driven. It's got 2 seats. It's got a gear shifter in between you, 6-speed, like a traditional car, no doors, no roof. And I think here's where I'm going with this. It would have been the modern day Caterham. It would have been the everyman track day special, because the target price for this was $17,000.
Okay.
Which would have made it cheaper than a Volkswagen GTI. I think cheaper than the Miata at that time. This is 2006, by the way, everyone. 2006.
Okay.
And Volkswagen went as far as to say they were considering bringing it into production, depending on how the concept car was received by the public. And it was received well. I'll run you through the rest of the stats here. So weighs 1,257 pounds.
Okay.
It's got a 1.6 liter turbo from the Volkswagen Lupo GTI, pumping out 125 horsepower, 112 foot-pounds of torque. I'm assuming they're probably using the transmission from that car as well. It has a traditional style transmission. They claimed it would do 1.25 lateral Gs, which is like, ACR levels of lateral grip. Viper ACR, or like GT3 RS levels lateral grip. And that's a lot. It's mid-engines, tubular steel space frame, so full Caterham, Lotus type stuff. Double wishbone front suspension. Steering rack is from a Lotus Elise, and the chassis was developed with Lotus engineers. So this is it's a proper sports car. That's where I'm going with this. This is a proper sports car. This is not a slingshot.
I think you're really reaching to say that it's not. Okay. All right. I'm not. Go ahead.
Well, so my thinking on this is that at that price point, if they had been able to bring this to market, it would have opened up a whole new market of modern track day special cars that are affordable. 17 grand for this thing at a time when the Lotus Elise came to market and it was like 35, 40 grand. And this was half the price with similar performance figures. and similar, really aggressive, connected driving. And from Volkswagen, like, a household brand, not some, back workshop, in Western England, with the bumpkins, where,
Okay.
the Friday cars are built half as well as the Monday cars. It's not that type of outfit. So it would have been a properly reliable car.
It is an interesting idea from a company like that to make this kind of a car.
I mean,
Because,
imagine what other people could have made after this, after they set the precedent.
I don't know if I would call this a car. Because it's got three wheels,
technically, no, it's not. I think as far as the state of Florida here is concerned, is that's a motorcycle.
Okay. Well, no, we'll debate. We'll debate in a minute after I intro on what else you got. Anything else spec wise? I know you gave us a lot there.
Spec wise, I think that's most of it. Size wise, 1.6 turbo from the Lupo GTI.
Lupo GTI. Okay.
So let's see. Length wise, it is 8 inches shorter than 8 inches shorter than an NA Miata, but it's also six.
It doesn't even have a windscreen. You got to wear a helmet.
I think they probably put a windscreen on it for production.
Okay.
I think it's safe to assume they would have put the windscreen on.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, come on, that thing looks fun, doesn't it? Looks sweet. It's got a roll bar on there too.
It looks like an Ariel Atom that lost a wheel.
It's right. So it's freaking sweet.
All right.
And an Ariel Atom is like 50, 60 grand. Mm-hmm. All the track day special cars are like rich people only territory.
And this was what, 17 grand?
17.
How much more for one more wheel? Was it really that much more for one more wheel?
Yes, Dylan, it's too much. It's too much.
All right. Okay, I'll intro mine and then we can begin the debate, and I'll give you some facts and figures. Anything else on your end though before I share mine?
I'll finish my pitch.
Okay. All right. So let's palate cleanse here for a minute and forget about this trike that you've just talked about. Think about where you were in 1997. All right, the cool concept cars that were coming out at the time. What you had, like what became the Plymouth Prowler. You had the Chevy SSR. Now, unfortunately, this company is no longer with us. And Rob, if the company had built this car, I'd say they would still exist today. This is Pontiac, all right? In 97, Pontiac came out with a concept car that was a V8 hatchback that made 335 foot-pounds of torque and 315 horsepower. Did 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. And yeah, it looked like a Firebird concept, but it was a shooting brake.
Can you pronounce the name of this for me?
The Pontiac Raginus. I don't know if that's actually
there. There's no N. Raginus.
Raginus.
It's ravenous with a G.
Ragus.
Ragus. Rajaus.
Rajaus.
I don't know. I'd like
it's French.
to ask someone.
The Pontiac Rajaus.
The Rajaus. I don't.
It looks outrageous.
Outrageous is an understatement.
Well, it definitely was the, it had that a similar front end to the Firebird at the time with like the force induction nostrils. But dude, if they had made this, first of all, the shooting brake idea is very much like a European thing. There's never been a U.S. car to market that was actually like a shooting brake or like a hatchback muscle car. Could you imagine
That's
that?
That's not true.
Okay, okay, what am I missing? What was a hatchback muscle car?
The Cadillac CTS-V.
That's a wagon. It's a great car. It's a wagon.
I mean, yeah, but what's the difference? Wagon.
Shooting brake is 2 doors. 2 doors.
Oh, okay.
And it actually, technically, I'm about to like burn myself here. It had suicide doors.
That's not 2 doors. That's
So
wait,
but it looks like
doors or suicide doors.
No. It opened up like
like an RX-8. Oh,
Yeah.
well then it's 4 doors.
But it's like a shooting brake though. It's more like a shooting brake than it is like a wagon. But no, I think
I feel
in
like
all
Mazda saw this
seriousness,
and they're like, that's a great idea.
I do feel like, in all seriousness, because soon after this, the Firebird stopped from Pontiac. The Firebird did not continue on like the Camaro did to Chevy, and it wasn't just because of Pontiac going away. Pontiac made the GTO before going away. They moved away from the Firebird and sharing the Camaro chassis, and they went to the GTO. With
Dylan,
what? The Holden.
This car would have marked the earlier demise of Pontiac. That's the only thing this car would have solidified.
No way.
I want you to read the curb weight for me. Can you just read that?
It's like 4,000 pounds or something like that.
How much? Be exact. Like, to the 100 pounds.
It's like over 4,000 pounds. It's somewhere in here.
600 pounds. And it only has 315 horsepower. I mean, those are proper 97 numbers.
You got to realize, every car is heavy today. This was ahead of its time.
4,600 pounds. It's a
really heavy.
2-door.
It's just a concept, right?
Also,
you're going to have a windscreen. I'm going to have 1,000 pounds less on this car.
I promise you, I can find you 10 Hot Wheels that are based on no real life car that look better. Like this, it looks like a Hot Wheels. It looks like
which is exactly why it should have been made.
But not in a good way, Dylan. Not in a good way.
It sounds like you have something very against Pontiac's design language for the 90s. It's not unfounded. Not unfounded. Not unfounded. Okay. So yeah, you can
Pontiac
you can
is overrepresented on our show. It is overrepresented.
It kind of is.
We talk way too much about the worst era of Pontiac. Oh my gosh.
I would say this though about yours. For 17 grand, how much more for a fourth wheel? I don't see a lot of 3-wheel vehicles at track days. And I don't think it's a price point thing.
That's because there was no Volkswagen GX3. That's what I'm telling you. If they had brought the car to market, they would have sold tons of them. The Volkswagen enthusiast base is already there. Like, it could have been the serious 3-wheeled performance car.
I feel like this is a harder sell than the electric track car. Is a 3-wheel track car.
No, what's wrong with 3 wheels?
Dude,
it only
look
weighs,
at it.
It weighs less than 1,300 pounds. It's got a 315 section rear tire. Like, that's enough tire.
Now, do we know, and I don't expect you to know this, do we know, did this thing lean?
No, it's not a leaner.
It's not a leaner.
It's not one of those. It's meant to handle flat.
It's meant to handle flat. I just don't. I think they shot themselves in the foot with it being 3 wheels. I think they would have nailed this if they had had a fourth wheel, because this would have been an aerial atom for the masses, cheap, done by a reputable OEM manufacturer.
I feel like the fourth wheel. All right, now you got to spend money on the rear suspension and a rear diff and half shaft. Like, it probably would have bumped the car up to be more like 25 grand, which probably still would have been awesome. I mean, I can't disagree with that, but it looks great. Does it not look great? It looks great.
I can't say any 3-wheel vehicle looks great.
No,
they look
looks
weird
great.
to me. They look weird to me. I will say, if I was just had a straight on the front end, it looks good. No, it does look good.
I think the thing looks awesome. I mean, and it's just so cool. That's really my greatest argument. It's just so cool. It'd be cool forever. And I mean, look at that cockpit too. Like, it's just like just like a steering wheel and 2 gauges in the middle and a gear selector, and you're just freaking going after it.
I'm not sold. I'm just. I think it is interesting that of all companies, like this is the most like un-VW thing to do.
Yeah,
is to make like this absolute like single use like vehicle. It would have been really cool to see them make that.
Oh,
but I think they would have lost their asses.
I have my
I don't think anyone would have bought
garage, my ultimate concept car garage. You know, I'll ruin it for if we ever do an episode on that. It's this as the weekend toy, and then my daily driver is the W12 GTI. You remember?
Yeah.
Of course, you remember that one.
Of course.
There's your daily driver.
You're not going to be able to fit anything in that car. There's no trunk. It's just engine.
It had space above the engine, I think.
I mean, yeah. You could cook your groceries on the way home. Over your engine cover.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right, let me think here.
No, there's space above the engine back there. You could fit something. It would have a frunk. There's no engine in the front. It would have a whole frunk.
I never saw a shot up front.
I
wonder if there was any cooling up there.
It's probably not one. I mean, I'm sure there's radiators in the front, like any Porsche, but there could be a whole frunk, just like a Porsche.
Listen, all I know is I want a muscle car shooting brake. That's all I know. I want that. I want to experience that. And I think Pontiac, they should have done it. They should have done that. I think it would have been really cool for its time. Maybe, Rob, I think the worst case would have been this. In all seriousness. I'll fold my hand a little bit here. I'll show my hand a little bit here.
Yeah.
I think the worst case, they would have ended up with what Chevy has in the SSR today. Everyone was super hyped on the SSR. Nobody bought it. And it's aged not as well as the Plymouth Prowler, but it's kind of like this cool relic of its time. I think at the very least, it would have been that.
I saw a purple one.
Really? Are you an SSR country right now?
Was anyone excited for the SSR?
Oh, yeah. There was a huge buzz before it came out, and then it just kind of flopped.
Based on what? And didn't people see the concept car? I feel no one saw the PT Cruiser and was like, "Oh my god, this is genius. This is amazing." No one. Nobody. No. There is no American.
Said that
there's no American job with PT Cruiser turbos ripping around. But there is the Italian job,
which was basically the same thing, but like more hot rod.
I mean, the Prowler is cool because it looks like a hot rod and has exposed front suspension like that. The Prowler makes sense. They just utterly, completely failed by putting only a V6 and automatic in it. I mean, who knows what they were thinking with that? That was the biggest oversight. I don't know. I can't.
That's like the only thing that rivals that is what DeLorean did with their engine. Like those two cars would have been just totally different if like a real engine
think about
in either of them came.
The Chrysler execs like having this meeting discussing if there should be a V8 in this.
In their hot rod that they just designed. Yeah.
It breaks my brain. And at the same time, they've got the Dodge Viper with a V10. Maybe, I don't know.
This is just why we can't have nice things.
Chrysler was just... Oh my gosh. Shooting brake. American shooting brake. I'm going to find you one. I'll find you one. Probably be from the 70s.
It's. I was going to say, I'm sure but there was like that, like Maverick or something that almost looked like a shooting brake.
I'm sure there was a muscle car that
I want something that's
rear
modern,
glass came up with the trunk. I'm sure there was at least one
from like the 70s and 60s. I want to know something like modern, or like, what they did with the Mustang Fox body, where they had a fastback and a notchback.
Yeah,
we'll just have the Mustang with a shooting brake and a fastback. Like that would be rad. They're just going to argue it's the same thing, but it's like, make a wagon
the Mustang at the trunk. I mean, all they have to do, look at the Civic. Like, I mean, you can basically just make it you could look exactly the same. The trunk just has to lift up with the glass.
It'd be rad.
Like a 944.
Well, that's fastback. Now I'm second guessing my
What your
fastback
definition
versus
of
shooting brake.
I always thought a shooting brake, I thought it was a wagon that just had a slanted rear glass, like the Porsche Panamera something.
No, because like the quintessential shooting brake is what that BMW like Z3 M car.
Oh, okay. It's a full. Yeah. Okay. Oh, like the Z4 concept that everyone was like, "Oh, that's incredible," right? Which is also just calling back to that. Man, I wish they would make that. It's a shame the Z4 isn't like a great driving car. Maybe it is a better driving car.
Google says it's a station wagon, but that's not.
I get what you're saying. No, I get that. By saying it's the clown shoe, that perfectly defines the shooting brake. It is a two-door hatchback.
Yeah,
But really,
it's a wagon. Like the way that the back opens up, like it's almost like a flat back.
right. It has to be a flat back, like a hatchback. But it's also built on the chassis of a sports car.
Yeah.
Also, like for instance, the BMW S6 or the Honda S600 Coupe. Like that was a shooting brake, I would say.
It's funny because people always say that I should just own a shooting brake, and I want nothing to do with one on my in my own driveway.
You should get a clown shoe.
I like to replace the Miata, but it's like I want to be more specialized in that. I see the value, but like with my current predicament of only having two cars, I'll keep my Miata.
Yeah, in your climate. In your climate, it doesn't make sense.
It makes a ton of sense in your climate. I definitely get that. Like, that is the car for me if I'm just going to own one car.
You could still, actually, you could still make it work. It just depends what you want to be able to carry in it. Because it's still going to be limited lengthwise. Like, could I own the new Z4 every day? Maybe if it had an integrated roof rack. And I could put my bike on the roof. Because I put my bike in the trunk of the Veloster, but it would not go in the trunk of a Z4 Coupe.
All right. Well, I think this just sums up that what we really, in fact, need to look up was a real shooting brake concept that didn't weigh 43,000 pounds.
You just need a BMW Z3 Coupe.
Apparently. Let us know down below what one of the two would you have wanted to see built, or do you want to just have a shooting brake?
Which is the more potentially influential?
Muscle shooting brake. Muscle car shooting brake. Let us know down below. All right. So we're verdict's out on the first segment here. We're back with
I just
the
annihilated
FMK.
Dylan.
I don't know, man. I definitely did not deliver on the hype that I was talking beforehand. I feel like I didn't mention the split trunk. Dude, it's got like a split trunk in the back. Anyway, it folds flat.
Oh, like a Pontiac Aztek?
I mean, it kind of looks like one, I'm not gonna lie. I did not do the best job choosing a car. Okay, anyway, FMK. Really straightforward, folks. F, marry, kill. I'm going to present Rob with 3 different cars. In this segment, Rob, I'm going to take a viewer's recommendation of what is an alternative to a cheap track car to a Miata, right? You own a Miata, I own a Miata. We talk shit on Miatas, but hey, they are great track cars. So what is a car that's $5,000 or less that could be used at the track instead of a Miata? So I've got 3 cars here.
I have to use it as is, like as I bought it.
As you bought it. And shout out to Nick for recommending this as a segment. And the first car is going to be inspiration from Nick, because I actually drove this car and Nick tracked this car, not this exact car, but you know, the one that I'm sending you for sale at, obviously, but this type of car. This is a Ford Contour SVT. And it is for those that don't know, this is a 2000 sedan.
We are like absolutely obsessed with domestic late 90s, early
Nuggets.
2000s nuggets.
So yeah, this is a Ford Contour SVT. It was well respected and well received by Motor Trend when new in its handling.
He tracked this thing on like stock brakes.
He did. Yes. Yes. And it always turned heads by instructors, and I took it for a rip. Surprisingly punchy.
This one looks pretty good too. Garage kept
does.
since 2010, no rust.
It is a 2.5 liter V6, 200 horsepower at 6,600 RPM. It's a properly like sorted little sedan from the early thousands. Kind of forgotten about at this point.
So ugly.
170 foot-pounds. So that's one. It does the quarter mile in 15.6 seconds at 89 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in maybe not the most reasonable 7.6 seconds. So that's option number one.
Okay, what's this
but
thing
a cool
weigh?
nugget nonetheless. It is. Give me one moment here. Do I have it here? Let's see. I don't have it in the spec sheet, unfortunately. Give me 1 second.
I'm kind of thinking like you could gut this thing and
3,100.
Like, okay, yeah. That's not too bad. You could gut this thing, take like 300 pounds out of it for free. I feel like it's like from that era of just like everything would have been so heavy. It's like one door card's 10 pounds.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, it's got leather interior, leather seats.
Slipping and sliding around on those on the track.
For sure. All right, option number 2. Now, I'm going to send you this specific one, but in general, what we're dealing here with is similar vintage, 96 Chevy Camaro. All right, this is a manual transmission. It's a V6, so there is that. I'm willing to bet. I was trying to go on Auto Tempest to find a V8. I was struggling to find a V8 that was also manual at this price point. I'm sure it's probably out there if you really like searched for it. But hey, we're dealing with a V6 in this segment, so it is what it is.
Have drum in the rear or disc?
Ooh, this one specifically might have had upgrades. He references.
Yeah, so there's a few upgrades.
But I think it may have came with discs from the factory. Let me just see here. V6.
What's this make? Like 120 horsepower?
So it makes
like
200 horsepower.
30 per liter.
And 225 foot-pounds of torque. So honestly, kind of similar. It's got way more torque than the Contour. But yeah, hey, I mean, this is a proper sports car, right?
It's a muscle car.
And then our final option, these are all manuals. Our final option is a car that you and I have actually spoken about for this specific scenario. And this is a little refresher. I found a 2010, so this is a substantially newer car with 130,000 miles on the clock. Again, manual, Toyota Yaris.
Woo!
Now, of course, gotta have the hatch.
I've driven one of these bad boys.
Now, if your goal is just to turn laps at the cheapest possible cost, I don't see how you don't choose this.
This is the answer.
This has got to be the answer.
Okay.
Just if you want to go endurance racing on a budget, I like, yeah, this is it. Or you just want to turn as many laps as possible to get that driver mod as quickly as possible for as cheap as possible. This is the option. So 2010 Yaris specs. Let's see here.
So first off, I think I'm probably out on the Contour. Despite
it's too cool for you. Okay.
No, despite its heritage, and pedigree, it is big and front wheel drive, and is not a good combo for a fun track car. The Yaris, lightweight, it's probably like 2,200 pounds.
2,300 pounds. It also only has 106 horsepower and 103 foot-pounds.
Slower than a 1.6 Miata.
That's saying something.
Yeah, and I've driven one, and it is soft and lazy in every regard. I mean, it is like fun despite itself, you know?
I bet it's
so
huggable.
little, but then it's like, I don't know.
It's also got a really nice short little wheelbase to it. I'm sure it's...
Oh, yeah. I mean, she'll rotate,
decent.
you know? But it needs some things, I think, to like wake her up, you know? Mm-hmm. Short shifter, the pedals got all this delay in it.
Biggest rear sway bar you could find.
Well, it's torsion, so it'd just be like you could just weld a beam of metal in the back. That's what they do. The whole rear torsion bar like flexes, so you just make it stiffer that's your rear sway. Okay, and it's the FMK. All right, it's the FMK. So we're killing the Contour.
Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, no, I think that really makes it simple. We'll kill the Contour.
Okay.
Marry the Yaris for its obvious longevity, and then F the Camaro, because it'd be sweet. Just one rip, you know, do some fat smoky bees with it, some nice drifts, some sliding. Ooh. All over. It's gonna be all over the track. Super soft suspension, probably.
Soft. Oh yeah, You're rolling those tires, rolling that body roll.
The Yaris will be good to me over time. It's a long-term partner at the track. Really light on consumables. You know, probably never even touch the rear drums. I won't even look at them.
Just gut it out. Take everything out of it. Probably get it under 2,000 pounds, maybe.
I mean, I'd be surprised if there's 50 pounds of shit in there.
That's true, actually.
There's nothing in there.
Actually. There's nothing in there to begin with. That's a good point. That is a good point. Man.
Yeah. It's easy to work on. You pop the hood on that thing, you can like stick your whole head behind the engine, between the engine and the firewall. It's, you know... You can pop the header out of that thing in an hour or less first time.
I feel like you probably it's different than a normal FMK, because my F honestly may have been like the Contour, but it's not real drive, and you gotta, dude. It's just easy to choose that for the one-off, right? Just one wild ride, baby. It's nothing easier than a real drive car that you're just gonna burn tires on.
Yeah, exactly.
And then to marry
entry, full lock at the track there.
Yeah, I mean it's a Camaro at the end of the day, right? Like that's exactly what that car is for. Is for, effing and just walking away, not having to worry about it at all. And then the diplomatic person that in me that really wants to think about things. Yeah, it's the Yaris. Want full driver mod for as cheap as possible. Yeah, just go turn laps.
Well, it settles it.
It does. We're in full agreement. Maybe this is why the first segment was the way it was, that I was in a very agreeable mood, Rob. Maybe that's it. That was the reason. No, all right. Let us know down below if you would have not killed the Contour, Nick. Sorry, buddy. And if you
submissive and breedable, I get it.
If you have any ideas about an specific cars for an FMK segment or another segment, just reach out to us. We're on Instagram. Leave a comment down below. Reach out to us however you want to, and we'll definitely get into an episode.
All right, Dylan. So a storyline that we've been following for a while now, being the GT86 BRZ twins bum boxer 4-cylinder. Like all
Yes.
Subaru engines. Bum. Bad. Poor design. Been that way for 20 years.
Just keep
Yeah,
on letting
right.
us
So they
down.
blow up. And now, because reportedly Toyota has been running the 3-cylinder 1.6 turbo, Dylan?
I believe it's
The
1.6. Yeah.
3-cylinder 1.6 turbo from the GR Yaris and GR Corolla. They have been running a few in GR86s as a test bed for, was it hybrid drivetrain or synthetic fuel drivetrain? What they're running as test bed for something.
For like future race cars, synthetic fuel testing.
Okay,
it sounded
synthetic
like.
fuel
That was
testing.
from Road and Tracks,
Which is promising
article.
because synthetic fuels just work the exact same as regular fuel. Theoretically, you could just dump it into any old car and it will work. So, it's not hydrogen or anything crazy. Yeah, so they're out there. There's a couple of them out there Toyota's put together, but I think this is sort of rumor mill that they might go into production with such an engined GR86. Which is obviously, I think, everyone's for it. The community's for it. We're tired of this engine. Having driven a GR86 I did the BRZ. I drove the new BRZ. Put, I don't know, 200 or 300 miles on one. Engine's terrible. It sounds like it's killing itself the entire time. It sounds like a hive of bees shoved into a 5-gallon bucket turned upside down so it's a little muffled. That's the sound it makes. The power,
Wow. It's quite the
performance-wise,
visual
it felt
aid.
fine. It's got the torque. Maybe
Okay.
a little. It doesn't really reward you revving it out, but really, it's got no soul, and they blow up on the track. So, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be happy about this from like a enthusiast performance standpoint?
I would definitely agree with you, and yes, this has been kind of an ongoing topic for us, that the engine is the weak point. Unfortunately, with that car and the chassis, it's so good. I know some people are going to say it's not the purity, Rob, of the NA life
The
is
NA.
going to be robbed by doing this. It is 1.6 confirmed. Double check that. This 1.6 3-cylinder turbo, but if this means that chassis from factory gets 300 horsepower, I'm all for it, right? And I mean, if it's got Toyota reliability, it seems like so far that engine has been reliable. There's not been any complaints so far, unlike what's happened with other hot hatches like the Focus
pretty
RS.
proven out. It seems pretty proven
Yeah.
out because people have been running them hard in the Yaris for a long time. I think guys are running 450 horsepower through a stock internal engine. So
Yeah, so if that's the case, I mean, the tuning potential of now like a rear wheel drive sports car is just going to be awesome. Because so many cars today have this like baseline potential from like because of the turbo, but very few in those segments are like a cheap rear wheel drive car. If it comes to it, obviously, I think it's fair to say that price would go up a bit, but you would have that tunability that you get in like a lot of these hot hatches, but in like a sweet little 2-door sports car.
yeah. I think I mean it's a no-brainer from that perspective. You got all the power, minimal weight gain. I mean, boxers aren't particularly light, anyway. They have low CG, but they're not particularly light. And it's a 2.4, so you're replacing the 2.4 with the 1.6 3-cylinder, which is a more space-efficient design. Lighter.
What do you think? What do you think they're going to have to do transmission-wise? That might be what's holding it back from production.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm just going to say from a realistic standpoint, I don't think this is happening. I think maybe there's an opportunity for the 3rd gen, if it even comes to fruition. And I'm not sure it will with the state of the world. Because, they're not, apparently this platform won't exist in England. I'm not sure about the whole EU, but I know it won't exist in England. It's only, I think, 2024, and that's it. So I don't know how much longevity it has. But aside from that, this gen, I don't think it's happening because one, he put this engine in there with 300 horsepower, even detuned a bit. Now it's a direct competitor and killer of the 2-liter Supra, which is 44 grand, has 270 horse, 290 torque, something like that. Kills it.
And
right?
Is heavier.
And is heavier. So one, it would cannibalize their own car. Two, they're gonna have to redesign transmission parts, the whole drivetrain, right? Because I'm pretty sure that those transmissions are fragile. The diffs aren't that much stronger. So both those things now get redesigned. You need bigger brakes, and before you know it, the car is going to cost 40 grand. Which would be fine. I would pay it for that package, a BRZ reliable engine or GR86 reliable engine, 300 horsepower. I would pay 40 grand for that, but it's going to cannibalize Super sales.
They already offer,
And what else is killing this? I think it's going to piss Subaru off, would be my guess. You know, because that's the only thing they've contributed to this thing is the engine. And it sucks. Yeah. So, and I don't even know. I'm not even sure where the diff or the transmission come from. I don't know who's. Because I mean, it's probably not even them who makes it. You know, not Tremec, but another supplier, Asen or whatever.
It's not like it's not like it's their all-wheel drive system.
You know, whose friend is that? I don't know who provides that. It might still just be Toyota who's providing that transmission.
And diff.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would piss Subaru off though as a partner for the car. I mean, I don't even think they really get along on the car anyway, because the stuff that I've read is sort of like it's sort of
Toyota's annoyed.
They didn't even really like talk. It was just sort of like one-handed, and they're like, "This is what the car looks like. Put an engine in it." You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how well they work together on the two. Yeah, I don't know. It seems really unrealistic. As awesome as it sounds, seems really unrealistic, which is a shame.
Yeah. It's just going to forever be like the chassis to swap, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, yeah. It's kind of one of those, honestly, too. I mean, like, it's a great backroads car. Like, you're not going to blow the engine up on backroads. So it's an awesome backroads car. It's a good, fun, like, daily, if you don't need that much space. Like, it's still a good car.
And the current, to be fair, the current generation, it's really like the oil starvation that's causing the problem. So if they are able to fix that oil starvation, yes, you weren't the biggest fan of like the noise and that sort of thing, but it doesn't seem like there's any other major flaws with the engine outside of oil starvation. Or am I wrong?
Head gaskets, like every Subaru.
Has that been going on though with this new engine? I haven't heard that much about it.
No, I don't think with the new one. I think it's just like a Subaru thing. Like you hit like 100,000 miles, it's like head gasket time.
Yeah, I'll say this
for like all of
that
eternity.
Engine is not. Yeah, I'll say this: that engine is not fun to maintain. Like whether you're just trying to do a spark plug. Yeah, like it's not. I want an inline 4, not a boxer 4 if it's my car.
Yeah.
But speaking just purely from like a reliability standpoint, the current situation is like that oil pressure that's holding it back.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Achilles heel, isn't it? I mean, to counter also, there are considerable amount of people who track them all the time and haven't blown an engine up. I mean, the guy who was doing the YouTube videos, who's doing like the scientific testing that we talked about ages ago, I mean, they still haven't blown up that motor. You know, they're recording the low oil pressures, and we know it's bad, but it isn't blowing up yet. So I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of people tracking them consistently that will never blow them up. You know.
But I think you and I are on the same page where it's like, I don't want to.
You don't want that feeling.
Well, I just don't want to spend that much money on a car that I know that this is a problem with. granted, if somebody had an oil pan that completely fixed the problem, I could bake that in and consider that. But,
if there was a silver bullet fix, it doesn't.
I would consider it. Yeah.
I mean, after learning and diving deep, right? I mean, we already did a bit, but diving deep into the issue, it seems like there is no silver bullet. Like, it is just an inherent problem with how the oil flows through the system, that it all fills up in the timing chain cover, sloshes to one side of timing. It's like you'd have to redesign the oil passages of the stinking thing to make it work right. I don't know. It doesn't seem like any fix would be remotely affordable or make sense.
The fact that they have performance companies designing concepts and it's not succeeding is concerning, because this is not an unusual problem for engines, let's be fair, but typically it's a baffled pan fix, and that's not fixing the problem.
yeah. Well, I mean, boxes are just so different.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that they didn't fix it. I mean, it's like the 400Z that still has the same fuel starvation issue that has been around since the 350Z, and they know how to,
they know it's there.
They know it's there. It's totally fixable, and they just keep not fixing it. It's ridiculous, Yeah, it's a shame. I don't know. I still kind of want one, but
this is why the Toyota Yaris is the true track car.
I would sell the Veloster right now if the GR Yaris was in America. The GR Yaris is too cool.
You really liked that. You saw a number of them in Japan. You were there, right?
Yeah. No, I just love how small and quirky that is.
Nuggety they are.
Nuggety it is. Yeah.
That's cool.
No, they're too cool. And the aftermarket support is massive too, which is nice. For sure. Whereas the Hyundai community is not there yet. Like, just the base wasn't there, and it's building. Yeah. It's building right now, but the Yaris, you come into it and every established tuners with really strong engineering capabilities are all on top of it. No one, I don't think anyone's even blowing up of that gen, that Veloster, that 2-liter. I don't think anyone's even blowing one up yet, going for big power numbers. That's how new everything is. I don't think anyone's broken a transmission yet. No one even knows the limits. There's probably maybe two or three built engine Velocers, or that just an engine Elantra Kona that exists in the world. That's how fresh everything is. Whereas the Yaris is proven.
I was going to say, going back to the Yaris, is that, since I haven't seen one in person, is that roughly the size of a Fiesta? Roughly at what?
Yeah.
The specs in
same
front of me,
the same class, about the same size.
That is cool to have a car that's
smaller than the Fiesta too, because it's 2-door. The 2-door is what makes it really cool. Also, if there were 2-door Fiestas in America, would be way cooler. The 2-door Fiesta weighs 200 pounds less than the 4-door.
That's interesting. But what I was going to say is, the thing that I think is the most cool is it's that small and it's all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah.
This is a tiny little car for all-wheel drive, especially here in the States. I mean, it's not here selling, but that is just an interesting concept to think
full
about.
Full rally life.
Exactly.
Which is the dream. Yeah. No, that would be awesome.
Just that small of a wheelbase with all-wheel drive and 300 horsepower. Oh man, that's gotta be rowdy.
Totally. I've never owned an all-wheel drive car. Really, really want to own one one of these days. But Yaris would be it if it existed here. But hey.
Okay, random question, and we'll wrap this. Of the cars for sale today, or something in the past 5 years, what would be your all-wheel drive car?
Can I have anything?
50K or less.
Oh,
reasonable. Okay, maybe not. Well, with inflation, let's do 70K or less.
Man,
Putting you on the spot. What would check that box
I
for
mean,
you?
what have we got? Like, it's the hatches. So GR Corolla, Focus RS,
Focus RS, Golf R.
Golf R, uh,
And then I
Audi
bet
TT. Ooh,
RS, yeah.
if the TTRS fits in it, that would be it because it's got the
That would be
5-cylinder.
really cool. That would be really cool.
Oh, they made a TTRS with the manual.
Did they?
Yeah,
That would be rad. That would be rad.
I don't know if that's before or after they put the 5-cylinder in it, but that would be sweet. Yeah, that's probably on the short list. Although I think I remember looking into them and the driving dynamics weren't awesome. They were just like typical lazy Volkswagen safe understeer.
I don't know. I remember listening to Farah do a review on one, and he was really, really impressed.
Like a
Thought
new
it was like a really
TTRS.
yeah, the new chassis.
Yeah.
Really taken with it. He considered it really underrated.
That or maybe a Focus RS just like with some key mods, full bolt on and like all
Some
new
suspension.
expensive suspension to fix the harshness that everyone talks about.
Yeah, that's
Because that thing also has like
Yeah.
the diffs and like the drift mode, and it's like ready to hoon. I think I'm switching my answer to Focus RS for that reason because it's like so eager to screw around.
so it's so hot boy.
Oh yeah,
So hot boy.
and they've got that sweet blue. It's kind of like the blue I already have. It's like
Yeah,
lightning blue or something like that. I forget what it's called. I love that blue though.
it's a good one. It's a good color. Cool. Well, hey, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening and watching yet another edition of the Early Apex. Appreciate it. Rob, anything else to end with? I think we're good.
Nah. Thanks guys. Thanks for listening.
Cool. Catch us on the next one. And any ideas, just let us know. Happy to do them.
All right, later.